Welcome to the Massage Life Podcast. I'm Jordan Pearson. I'm a chartered professional accountant, and I'm here with my wonderful wife, Melissa, who is a registered massage therapist. I almost forgot there for a minute.
Like, what do you do again? I don't know.
Yeah, we founded the Online Wellness Institute, and we started this ridiculous podcast. And today we're talking about I see farting dog on your...
Don't look ahead on my notes.
Well, I'm intrigued now. I'm assuming
Don't
these are embarrassing moments that we're talking about.
You know, I'm embarrassed by the sheer fact that we need to have an embarrassing moments part 3.
Yeah. Maybe we need to change the focus of this entire podcast.
Just rebrand it.
Yeah, the embarrassing life of every massage therapist.
Secret stories from the table.
Yes. Every time so this is our 3rd episode on embarrassing moments. And it's because after we record an episode, I always think of more embarrassing moments or just have more embarrassing moments. And so those episodes have been a big hit. So I thought I would,
right,
just
air
all my moments for you.
Yeah,
guys.
most of our episodes so far have been packed with helpful information. Like
They're a mix.
Yeah, and that's what I like, right? We have episodes where we talk about, things that you can write off for business purposes and, other things that are helpful. Mm-hmm. And then we have embarrassing moments, right? Because everybody loves to see themselves, right? And I think a lot of people, they have embarrassing moments and then they feel like, oh, I'm the only idiot that's out there. Not to say that you're an idiot if you have embarrassing moments, right? But it's nice to be able to know that I'm not alone, right? That there are other people who go through life just making fools out of themselves.
Yeah, and I guess like every podcast episode we like to have a takeaway, and I guess that's the main takeaway from these silly episodes. It's just like
you're not alone.
Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has these moments, and like it doesn't need to slow you down, and you can keep moving forward and have a good laugh at yourself. And really, when you have an embarrassing moment, that's the best thing to do is to just have a good laugh at yourself and carry on.
Yeah. Especially, and hopefully you've had some good laughs with your clients, because I'm sure some of these embarrassing moments, like there have been moments where hopefully you call it out right away.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've learned. Yeah. I've learned that it's best to call it out. And if you don't, then it just makes it so awkward and uncomfortable for both parties that it's just like, it's easier to just acknowledge it and laugh about it. Yeah. Instead of just pretending it didn't happen.
Right. Yeah. Tomorrow's Halloween. We should have dressed up for this episode.
Hey, yeah. We have video today.
I know. And I love that initially my vision for this podcast was that I would get dressed nicely. No, I'm wearing slippers and sweatpants and a t-shirt that maybe has some pumpkin juice on it because we carved like 1 million pumpkins today. And
it's a little overwhelming with the
pumpkins. I don't know.
Today.
I mean, it's pretty. Yeah. So somebody gifted us some pumpkins.
Yeah, that was so sweet of them.
Yeah, really.
Little did they know we already had a slew of pumpkins.
Little did they know we already had 4 pumpkins, and then we got 3 more that were given to us. And then how many did they give us? 3 or 4? I think it was just 3.
Anyway, so they multiplied.
We have like 12 pumpkins that we need to carve, and I just hate pumpkins now. Like if I don't want to carve another pumpkin.
The kids were having fun though.
Yeah,
so
it was good times. That's all that matters. Anyways, okay.
All right.
Should we do this?
Just dive in.
Yeah, it's all you. I've got nothing today.
I'm sure
I'll think of some things.
You'll think of things, hopefully.
Memories that I've suppressed.
Yes. Yeah. Tried to erase.
Okay, so the farting dog. I'm intrigued.
Okay, so a few of these embarrassing moments. So in the past 2 episodes, I tried to make them all about me because I didn't want to call out anything embarrassing that my clients did.
So selfish of you.
No. I mean, no. I didn't want to call. It's all about me. It's the me show.
Yeah.
No. I didn't want to call out my clients because that's just rude.
Right.
So I didn't want to call out anything embarrassing that maybe they did. But I thought this was a fair story to share because it was about my client's dog.
Okay.
So I do mobile massage, and often people have their pets in the area. And so this person had 2 big, I think they're called pugs. I'm really not a dog person. I don't know like dog breeds, but I think they're pugs.
You've gotten better.
Yes, I have. I've like learned the art of like
because everyone
dealing
has a
with
dog.
Dogs. Everyone has a dog. So yeah, they have these 2 really big pugs, and I was fine with it being in the area. I wasn't jumping me on anything. So it was just hanging out, and it fell asleep underneath the massage table. So I think I'm working on her neck, and then all of a sudden it just smells really, really bad. And we're in like a small office, enclosed office, like the door is closed. And I was just like, what does that smell?
Like, it's either you or the client.
Right? And I kind of forgot the dog was sleeping under the table. And then I was like, oh no. And I was like, oh, that's fine. Like, everyone passes gas, right? And then
because you automatically assumed that it was
you just
her.
assume it's the client, I guess. So I was like, I don't know.
She probably assumed it was
you.
Yeah,
we're both like,
like, how many sausages did you eat before you came over?
It was chilly night. And so
I'm on the chili cleanse.
What was that funny meme I saw that was like, I'm on the reverse of a cleanse. I'm on the I'm on the backup or something like that.
Yeah, these cleanses are so
I'm
funny.
on the clog.
Like,
that's what it was. I'm on the clog.
The clog. It was like these cleanses. That's what you should be eating. Just like chili and hot peppers. Like, that'll cleanse you.
No, it's bad.
Okay, keep going.
Anyway, so then she speaks up and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. That's my dog. Yeah. She's like, he's really bad gas. So I was like, okay.
Like, sure, blaming it on the dog, are we?
Right? And then it was not a singular occurrence. It was for the rest of the massage. And she couldn't even like shoo it out of the room because it was sleeping and the door was closed. And so the last 15 minutes of that massage were just
bad.
Yeah. But you know what? Bad. I think it was back when we had masks for COVID and I was like,
trying
to breathe through my mask. I'm like, hopefully this is filtering some. So that was, we had a good laugh over it. So that was funny.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's funny that she clearly thought that you thought it was her.
Right. That's why she was like, oh, I better. Yeah, same thing. Like we just talked about, like, it's better to acknowledge it, right? Because she's probably thinking, oh, dang, she thinks that's me. And so she thought, well, better just clear the air.
Like, there'll be no clearing of any air. Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's funny.
Yeah. So another one I had recently was, again, with mobile, I have like a duffel bag. It's a hockey bag that I put all my sheets and things in.
It's very Canadian.
And I was like, what do I have around here? This works. And I had my water bottle with me. Sometimes I bring that with me. And I think I had like like I was on the tail end of a cough or something. So I had it with me during the massage. I had the lid unscrewed and had it on the counter in case I needed to take a little sip of water.
Okay.
I don't normally do that. I must have just had a little cough that day. And so it was on the counter and I was packing up and I must have been in a rush to get to my next client. And so I just like chucked it in my bag. I didn't screw the lid back on.
Oh, shoot.
So I chucked it in my bag and then as I'm leaving, I'm like, what is happening here? And it's like trickling out of the bag. Yeah. So I like quickly screw it back on, but like too late. The inside of my bag's like flooded with water. And so I explained to him, I was like, I'm so sorry. I think I dripped some water here. And I wiped it up with the cloth I had. And then anyways, I got out of there, but it was funny because I got into my car and before I put the bag in the car, I had to like dump it out, take everything out. It was such a big ordeal. But I look back and across the whole driveway is this like trickle of water all the way over to the car. And I was like, this is so embarrassing.
So you had a client after this one?
Yes. Thankfully, I had a few minutes to go home.
And get new
because
sheets.
it actually wrecked my next set of sheets as well.
Yeah.
And then
thank goodness.
Yeah, thankfully I had time to go home, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Or maybe it was after. Maybe he was the second client. I remember it. Yeah, it wasn't a problem. It would have been bad. Yeah, if I had to quickly get to another client or was far from home or something like that. So
like, all right, we're doing hydrotherapy today.
It's a body wrap with wet sheets. Yeah. So that was worst. That was not fun, but not a big deal. It was just water. It wasn't like it was. I don't know. Even if like my oil thing had exploded, that would have been so much worse. Like oil everywhere. Oh, that would have been.
Would it have been though?
Well, if I had dripped oil all over their like hardwood floor.
Oh yeah, yes. But if you had gotten oil on the next set of sheets, like it probably wouldn't have been.
No, but it would have been harder to clean, like on the inside of my bag, and I have my.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that would have been
just
a nightmare.
Everything in there. Yeah. But yeah.
That's funny.
I had a client recently who. Okay, so I keep my sheets in a little waterproof bag.
Okay.
And then so I take the sheets out, put them on the table. And then that empty bag, I usually just store underneath the table. So I try to keep all my things under the table instead of like sprawling it all over the client's house. I try to just keep all my things as much as possible just under the table.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Yeah,
for anyone doing mobile massage.
Yeah,
like don't barge in and just like take over the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I want to make myself at home, but not like I'm moving in at home. You know what I mean? It's not. It just feels better to keep my stuff contained.
Right.
So I put it under the table. But anyways, so I get my client on the table, I go wash my hands, and I come back, and she has that pillowcase cover in her hands. And she's like, what is this? She's like, is this like from another client? This is so gross. And she was like freaking out. I was like, what? I was so confused what she was even talking about at first. And I was like, no. Like she thought it was a pillowcase from someone else. I don't know why she would think it was from someone else. But I was like, oh, no. Like that's just the bag I store the linens in. Like it was very, it was just like a weird moment. And then she was like, oh.
And she was pretty aggressive?
Yeah, she's a very outspoken person. She gets after me.
Brash? Is that a word?
Ooh, I like that word.
Yeah, like just like rough.
Yeah, and she's just not afraid to speak up. I guess maybe not.
Like, what is this?
What is this? And so I was just like, oh, I'm sorry, and I had to explain myself. But I think she still didn't get it really, like what the purpose of that was, or she maybe doubted me that it.
Yeah, it's like, how do you think I got the sheets here?
Yeah, no, I think some people think I just put it in that duffel bag.
That's even
but that's
grosser.
dirty. Yeah,
that's gross.
No, it's like, nope, that's a very like freshly clean bag, and then I put the dirty ones back in there and I wash it. Like those are washed in between every client.
Yeah.
So I had to give her this whole like rundown of like my system. And so I thought after that, like, do I need to explain my system more? And so actually just recently I did record a video of how I pack my sheets for doing mobile. Like people can see, hey, I put all of these items in a bag, like this bag's just for you.
And it's a waterproof bag.
Like
a waterproof pillowcase cover.
It's not just a regular pillowcase cover. It's waterproof. So like, you know, the dirty ones, it's not like
protected.
Oils leaking out or anything. And so, yeah, I guess that it was just a good lesson for me to explain better about things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's been really interesting. Like post-COVID and then also seeing you doing mobile, like there's been so many, I don't know, I've just become more aware of what other therapists do, and I really hope that therapists are, you know, being conscious of that, like where their sheets or how their sheets are being stored when they transport them to your house. Their oil, right? Are they using like a container that they just dip their fingers into and then they go from one client to the next, and it's like, that's gross, right? You need to have an oil pump or something else. Right?
Or separate container for each client. Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting with COVID to be able to really reassess.
Like take a step back.
Of everything that I do. Yeah.
Like the sheet that's not washed. We talked about that in our last episode, I think.
The blanket, you mean?
Yeah, the blanket that's not washed.
Yeah, people don't wash that blanket every time, and it's like, no,
why not? That needs to be washed every time.
Yeah. I really hope the one thing that people are continuing to do after COVID is wipe down the face cradle. So
yeah, because there's been a lot of times where my mouth is touching something, like the bar that comes across.
Yeah,
and it's like, how many people am I kissing right now?
Right? I worry that once all those COVID rules were lifted, that people just gave up on it all. Right. And it's like, no, we still need to keep basic hygiene here.
Right.
And so. For wiping the table, I know some people were crazy with the cleaning. They cleaned the legs of the table in between each client and like
totally
the entire thing.
Yeah,
and it's like, I don't know
we don't
if that's
need to be
necessary.
Crazy like that.
Yeah. I take off the pillow cover. So there's like the face cradle thing is two pieces, right? The soft part and then the hard part. So I take them apart. I wipe the entire soft part of the face cradle cover and then the hard part, including special attention to that bar that's right by their chin.
Right.
I also make sure to wipe off the lever on the side because often the client will touch that to adjust it, or I will touch it. If they need it adjusted. So it's like my oily, dirty hands touching it. So just like you need to pay attention to those areas. And then I also wipe up like the area around their shoulders and that as well. But I don't even wipe the entire table usually. It just depends on where I see that it needs to be cleaned. But it's like target in on those areas.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is side rant. Cleaning rant.
We'll get off the soapbox. I mean, hopefully people, you know, can relate to this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Back on track of my stories.
Back on track.
Okay.
To less important things. Yeah.
Get back to our important topic here. So I used to work at this place where they had a lot of really innovative ideas and they really tried to work together as a team. And it was a very multidisciplinary clinic. So they had medical doctors working there. They had a whole gym with like personal trainers. And then they had, of course, massage, chiro, physio. Right. And so one thing they tried to do was have us introduce other team members. So introduce our clients to other team members. So if we're escorting our client to the room and we bump into, say, the physiotherapist, then you can introduce your client to the physio. Say, hey, this is Chelsea, she's the physiotherapist here. So that people get to know the other practitioners in the clinic so that you feel comfortable if you need to go to another
practitioner. More like an elite club where everyone just knows everyone
kind of knows
else.
Each other. Yeah. And so I was brand new, and this was a huge place. Like there's so many different practitioners, plus there's like the receptionists, and it was even fancy enough that it had like cleaners that were there all the time. It was actually very handy because I didn't have to clean anything. Like I didn't have to do my own sheets or anything there. And so one time, and you were supposed to introduce them by their name, and most people had name tags, but not everyone would wear them. And so one time I introduced my client to someone, and I was like, oh, this is so-and-so. And I think actually I got the cleaning lady mixed up with the physio lady. And so I was like, oh, this is so-and-so. She's like the cleaning lady or something. No, and then she was like, oh, I'm the physio actually. Oh, and I was just like, it was so embarrassing. So I said the name wrong and the position wrong.
Yeah.
They looked similar, I guess. And so
hopefully that physiotherapist just played it off.
Oh, she was so nice, and she handled it really well.
Right.
Like she didn't make me feel dumb, and she totally fixed the situation. And then afterwards, I had to apologize to her. I didn't have to, but I did. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm new here, and I'm trying to follow this rule. But after that point, I was terrified to do that anymore, because I had up to that point been pretty good about doing it. But then I was like, I don't think I did it anymore after that. I was like, nope, I don't care that you guys like do this thing.
Don't make eye contact. Yeah. Don't make eye contact.
Just like walk really fast. So yeah, that was embarrassing.
That's funny.
And I worked at this other clinic, not that fancy one. It was just a chiro clinic, and it was really slow sometimes. And so, and they had this ridiculous rule where we had to stay at the clinic for our full shift. So it was 9 to 5. You're there.
Not good if you're an independent contractor, right?
Then you're starting to look like an employee. What's the problem with that, Jordan?
Well, then it's like, you go back to...
From a CRA standpoint.
Yeah, from the CRA's perspective, there's a number of things that they look at when assessing whether someone is an employee or an independent contractor. Mm-hmm. And having control over your schedule is one of the key things that they look at. So if you're an independent contractor and you're required to be on site, 9 to 5 every day, right? Well, that's a set schedule that you have no control over. Right? If you don't have any clients, you should be able to just come and go as you please. Right. And so the CRA could look at the nature of that relationship and say, well, because you expect that this person is on site, like this person's not an independent contractor, mm-hmm. they're an employee. Mm-hmm. Right. And then there could be, some penalties, CPP and EI that you have to go back and pay. Which is not good.
Could be a big mess. Yeah. So anyway, we won't name names of what clinic that was or anything. So I was stuck there with, a big gap in my schedule.
Right.
And I was bored. That was before the age of smartphones, I think. I didn't even have it. I couldn't even go on TikTok or anything. I was just sitting there so bored. So I was like, I'm going to take a nap. So I went into my clinic room and took a nap on my massage table. And so I'm hanging out in there. I did have a cell phone though. And so I'm either sleeping or just resting. And I get a message on my phone saying a client's here, like a walk-in client is here who would like a massage. And my hair is probably a mess. And I'm sleeping on the table. And then I was like...
You got the sleepy eyes.
Yeah, I got sleepy eyes. I was like, dang it. Now I need to come out. And also, I need to change the sheets because I was laying on these sheets, right? So I just have to gather up the sheets and then leave the room. And the client's standing right there. My clinic room was right next to the front desk.
Right. I remember that.
So, So I had to leave, and the client's right there. And I don't know if they could guess that I had been having a nap or whatever, but I just remember this walk of shame, back to the laundry room to change the sheets and stuff. I was like, don't mind me, not just having a nap over here.
See, that's the funny thing about embarrassing moments and moments like that. I'm sure no one noticed or even cared. Right? The receptionist probably didn't notice.
No, well, they knew because they had to text me.
Yeah, but that's fine, right? You had a good relationship with that person. Who cares, right?
Right.
She knew that you had a lot of downtime. But the next client, for sure that client didn't even think twice.
Right.
Right? She just has to change the sheets. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think we overthink these things.
Totally.
Other people was don't even notice it.
Totally.
That same clinic, I remember doing the laundry and brought a client back and got them on the table, went to wash my hands, came back in. And the client goes, oh, I like this new face cradle. It's so fluffy.
Yeah.
What? And I looked down and her face is on the fleece cover. So we had the normal face cradle thing and then a fleece cover and then the flannel cover on top of that, right?
Right.
But you're not really supposed to put your face on the fleecing. It's actually kind of scratchy and it's not meant to be laid right on. You're supposed to put the flannel or cotton cover on top.
Right.
But she's like, ooh, so squishy. So I was like, dang it, how do I say like, oh, you're not actually supposed to be on that? So I just, called myself on it. I was like, oh, I totally forgot to put the actual sheet on that.
Right.
So I had to like go get, put it on top.
Maybe she liked it.
I don't know. Because she's like, oh.
You'll have to try it. Is it really scratchy?
If they're washed several times. If it's a brand new one, it's actually super soft.
Yeah, because isn't it like
it's like polar
lamb's wool or
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's the ones I had were synthetic. Like they weren't super nice. I'm sure you can get more deluxe ones, but
okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's funny.
Just recently I did my cupping course, and I'm still getting used to using them, and it's tricky with mobile because I don't have a designated place to set them down.
Okay.
And so, well, I've changed things a little bit after this experience. So I was doing cupping, and then I just put the cups down next to the client, like on the massage table. And then, so I massaged their back and then put them down and then draped the back. And then I couldn't find one of the cups. And I was like, I know there's another one here because I have them in sets. And I was like, no, 222. And I was like, oh, like I only had 5. I was missing the 6th cup, and I knew it was somewhere on the table. And so I'm trying not to break the flow of the massage. And the client had been really quiet. Like, I don't know if they're half asleep or what, but I didn't want to wreck it. You know what I mean? I was trying to just still massage. I didn't want to stop and like fumble around. So I'm like gently kind of tapping around to like try to find it. And so I can't find it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to undrape. So I needed to do the legs next.
Right.
Going to undrape the legs. Surely I'll see it when I undrape the leg. Nope. Couldn't find it anywhere. And so finally,
you needed it?
Well, I needed it eventually. I didn't want it to fall off I didn't want to go onto the floor. Right. So I don't have a ton of cups because doing mobile, I'm not going to bring 30 cups to each client's house.
Right.
I bring a designated amount to that client's house. And if they fall on the floor, you're not supposed to use them on the client.
Yeah.
And so...
Just like how you're not supposed to eat food that falls on the floor.
10-second rule, maybe. But
10 seconds, okay.
What is it, 5-second rule?
5 seconds, yeah, 5-second rule.
We're upgrading it to 10 seconds now. Anyway, so I didn't want to lose the cup. I knew it would fall on the floor, especially when I would turn them over.
Right.
So finally I was like, okay, I just need to say something. So I said, okay, this is really embarrassing, but there's a cup somewhere on this table. I cannot find it. And he thought it was funny. Like I've seen this client several times.
Yeah, that helps when you have a good relationship with him.
And he's a funny guy and stuff, so he thought it was funny. And I forget how we ended up finding it. I think he felt around for it or something. I don't know. I can't remember how we ended up finding it, but I was able to like kind of pause the massage because at that point I was just trying to like not break the rhythm.
Like be discreet.
Yeah, be discreet. So I was able to find it. But yeah, we had a really good laugh over it.
That's so funny. Where was it?
Somewhere near his leg. Like it wasn't even a weird.
It was like in his ears, like a magic trick.
Like ta-da, ta-da. So weird.
It's like, okay. I feel uncomfortable. How awkward would that have been if he had done that? If he had like found it and was all discreet and it's like, oh yeah, it's just in your ear right there.
It's like the person when you're doing a puzzle and they like hide the last piece of the puzzle and
that's
they're like,
me.
It's like, cool, so funny.
Oh man.
All right. Speaking of forgetting things, I worked at this busy spa, and I remember when I was working there, I had maybe just one kid, but I remember I was just like busy, stressed, tired, non-functional. And I remember
it would have just been one.
Yeah, because when I worked there, we just had Abby, And so I remember I brought a client back, got them on the table, and then washed my hands. And I went and sat down for a minute in the back. We had a little staff room, and I got talking to someone. And then I had this moment where I was like, oh yeah, I have a client on the table, like getting ready. I had forgotten that I
How much time had gone by?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh,
Melissa. Right? Yeah, it was really bad. And
I don't remember this. I'm sure you told. I mean, this is forever. This is forever ago.
I don't think tons of time had passed, but more time than necessary. Like really, you only need time to like wash your hands and maybe go.
I've had moments where I've been on the table. Like I'm the speedster. When I get on the table, I get on as fast as possible because I don't want somebody walking in and seeing me in my undies.
Yeah.
But there have been times where it takes the therapist forever.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? Knitting a quilt? Knitting a quilt?
Is that the correct term?
No, you don't knit a quilt.
Knit a comforter?
You knit a blanket. You sew a quilt.
Thank you, Jordan, for your sewing lessons today.
This has been Needlework with Jordan Pearson.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I don't know how much time had passed, but more than necessary for sure. So yeah, when I went back in, I had to apologize. But I didn't really have a good excuse. I was like, oh, sorry, I cut my finger, needed a Band-Aid. Or like, oh, sorry, the fire alarm was pulled. Or like, it's like, sorry, I literally forgot about you.
Like, I ate a bad piece of fish last night and it's not.
I'm not feeling well. Yeah, it was bad. And then obviously I made sure to give that client their full amount of time from the time I came into the room. But
did they laugh or like was it?
No, I don't think they were impressed.
Like, this will be the first and last time you ever see me.
Yeah, I wonder if I did ever see them again.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
That's funny.
Don't do that. All right, back to the clinic where I had a nap. One time I'm massaging my client.
You weren't having a nap?
I was not having a nap. I was actually working for once. So I'm in the middle of the massage and it's raining really bad that day.
Yeah.
And you can hear the rain. So it's actually in a mall and we could hear it raining. We're like, wow, it's really coming down. And then my client says, it sounds like it's raining in the room. And I'm like, yeah, it sure does. It sounds really loud. And she's like, no, but it sounds like there's water here. Yeah. Like, the water sounds really close. I'm like, oh, I know. Ha ha ha. Well, I look
like it's the music.
It's just the waterfall music. No, I look over and there's like some electrical box thing and there's water pouring out of it onto the floor.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what is happening right now? And so I was like, oh, you are correct. There's water. Yeah.
How do you not notice? You're standing in it, are you not?
No, it was like slowly encroaching on my area. It was over in the corner.
Right.
And so I tell the client, okay, we're going to have to stop the massage.
You're like knee deep in the water?
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm a new mom. I haven't slept in 4 days.
Things I don't notice. An elephant walks by. So yeah, I'm like, okay, get dressed. I leave the room. Well, by the time she gets dressed and comes out, she is knee deep in the water. Maybe not knee deep, but ankle deep. She has to like wade out.
Yeah.
And
I remember this.
Oh, it was so bad. So yeah, we dismissed all our clients and then we're panicking of what to do. There's all this water in our clinic. And it was really crazy. And that whole mall flooded really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
I remember that. You got some good video of that.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And so they ended up coming in and like retiling the floor because I think we had hardwood floor and it all warped. The whole thing was so bad. And then it flooded again. Like 3 days later, it rained again. And then the tile all shifted because it hadn't been sealed yet.
Oh,
and so they just had those little like pins in between the pieces of tile. And then it flooded and it all...
It just wrecked it.
Ruined.
Oh, man.
So we had to do like the whole thing over again. It was crazy. It was kind of good.
What a nightmare.
It was made a good story after.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that client did come back. They're like, how's the flood been?
Yeah.
Like, sorry for the free like water treatment there.
Hydrotherapy.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. I had another embarrassing moment. This one kind of goes along with the dirty bag thing where the person was like, this is dirty from someone else. I worked at a clinic where we only had 10 minutes in between each client versus usually most places have 15 minutes. Oh, it was so difficult. I know 10 minutes versus 15 minutes doesn't sound like a big difference, but it is. And so sometimes what I would do is we had a couple massage rooms and they weren't always being used. Okay. And so sometimes I would utilize both rooms. Mm-hmm. And so I would get one table all made up. Well, get both tables all made up, see a client in one, and then I could bring the next person back like right away because I'd bring them into the other room. So I didn't have to switch the sheets, right?
Right.
And so I did that one time. I basically said goodbye to one client and I brought the next client right back like they were already there. And so I was like, bye. And then I was like, Susie, your turn. And I bring her back. And so as I'm walking her back, she's like, do you guys like change the sheets?
Totally reasonable question.
Totally reasonable. And I hadn't thought of that before of how that would look to the client. Yeah. And I couldn't even understand why she was asking it at first. I was like, well, yeah, of course. And then I was like, oh, because yeah. I was like, no, I'm using together. Like 2 rooms here.
So you told her.
Yeah, I explained. And I was like, no, like we wash everything like really thoroughly.
Now, if it were me, I would have said, no, just for you, because we don't like you. You have to use dirty sheets.
You would actually say that to someone?
Yeah, sarcastically. And then I'm just kidding.
And then they're like, okay. All right, so we're almost at the end here. This is a lot.
I don't know that I have any embarrassing moments.
I've been thinking, sure you do. You're just hiding
my whole life is an embarrassing moment.
Oh man. So the next one is about music. We have a whole episode about music, by the way, if you want to listen to that.
And a whole blog post.
A whole blog post with recommended playlists.
Yeah.
So one day my client wanted to pick their own music, and so they put on Stingray music. Is that like a radio thing?
Stingray?
Stingray. Yeah. It's like Stingray radio, I think. And it was just like on her TV.
Okay.
And
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, she put on nature sounds.
Okay. I see where this is going.
Yeah. Never good. It was so bad. And I kept thinking, both her and I so finally she acknowledged it. She's like, this music's very strange. And I was like, well, you can change it if you want. She's like, it's fine. It's got to get better. I was like, okay. So some of it was, just birds and stuff. And I was like, that's fine. But then it started to get really weird. And I could see the TV from where I was, and I could see what they were called, what the song was called. And the one was called Crying Sea Lions. Yeah. And it was so bad. Like, I would imitate it right now.
Did you tell her that's what it was?
Yeah. She's like, what is happening right now? And I was like, it says Crying Sea Lions.
Why are they crying? We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, but they're crying.
So then finally that one ended. We're like, both her and I were like, and it was so long. And then we're like, thank goodness that one's done. Well, then the next song is so strange.
Why wouldn't she change it?
I think she had to change it from upstairs or like something weird.
I mean, at this point, you're just like, well, let's just see what happens.
Yeah, at this point, it's just like pure entertainment for us. We're like, this is fun. And her and I have a good relationship. Like, it wasn't weird at all. Like, we were just laughing and stuff. Right. So then we're like, thank goodness this one's done. Well, the next one is like, crack. And then it's like, boom. Like, what is happening? It's called Cracking Glacier Ice.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's the strangest thing. And it was just that, like, no added in noises or anything. Just cracking and then glaciers. It like falling into the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so odd.
There's a term for that. It's called calving.
What?
Yeah. So when I'm like 94.5% sure.
All these specifics.
So when you have a glacier and a chunk of that glacier comes off, that coming off process is called calving. Like you think of like the birth of like a cow. It's like
calving. I was kind of thinking like caving.
I think it's CALF.
Okay, it's kind of like
calving.
being
it's
born.
Like being born, like a small piece of this glacier is coming off. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. If not, I don't know where that came from.
Interesting. Just making up stuff.
Yeah,
I like it. Just go.
It is now.
You can honestly say anything confidently and people will believe you. So
yeah, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about like how words. The example that they were talking about was shrinkflation. So for those of you who don't know what shrinkflation is, it's typically with inflation, the price of things go up, but with shrinkflation, the price of certain goods stay the same, but you're getting less of that product. So a good example is a box of cereal, right? Say it's 200 grams typically for $5. Well, now maybe you only get 180 grams for $5, right? So that's an example of shrinkflation. And they were talking to the person that coined that name. No, they were talking to the people. I think it was someone from Webster's. The people that decide like, okay, what are the new words?
What's a real word?
Yeah, and one of the words was shrinkflation. And they were talking about like, how do I make a word? And it's like, well, you just make a word and just like keep using it.
If enough people use
it. Yeah, and people catch on, and eventually that's what happened with shrinkflation, because someone was thinking about, they were able to identify that, and they're like, there's not a word for this. And so they made up the word, and then, 5 years later, or however long it was, it became a word because it was so prevalent.
Right.
Anyways,
calving. I wonder if people would ever do that with massage, right? If, this inflation is becoming a big problem right now and people don't want to raise their rates anymore. Say they just recently raised their rates, but they still can't keep up with their costs. I wonder if that's something people would do ever, that their 60-minute massage is actually 55 minutes or 50 minutes. And they're upfront about that. I know a lot of people do that. They say a 60-minute massage is only 50 minutes hands-on. Maybe right now they're doing 60 minutes hands-on, but they want to change it, but they don't change their prices. It's an idea for people.
I don't know that really makes sense, because shortening your massage from 60 minutes to 55 minutes, it's not going to open up enough time in your day to be able to do more massages. You know what I mean?
A little bit.
Could you do, but it's only 5 minutes, right?
You add them all together. Gives you enough time to like do other things.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see that
You're not buying in.
That sounds dumb.
So rude. So honest to each other here. All right. Just forget I ever said anything then. All right. After our last embarrassing moments episode, I did ask Instagram community for stories from other people. And so some people shared some things with me. And someone told a story that they are also mobile massage therapist. They went to a client's home and forgot their table.
Oh my gosh.
It's my worst fear.
Yeah.
Because I've forgotten other things before, a blanket or, other things you can get away with. You forget your blanket, what do? You can ask the client for one, or you turn the table heater up higher or whatever. You can get away with not having things. Even oil, like people probably have some coconut oil you can borrow or something, right?
Didn't one therapist ask us for coconut oil or something? I feel like somebody asked us for coconut oil one time.
Maybe. I had to ask someone for coconut oil once when I was brand new to mobile.
Yeah.
You're just remembering me.
You're like, oh, you're that person.
Like, okay. Who was that dumb person? Oh, that was Melissa. Yes. Okay.
Oh.
But yeah, you can't. What are you supposed to substitute for the table, right? Yeah. And she was really far from home. She didn't have enough time to swing back home and pick it up.
Just lay on the kitchen table.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure she said that she offered to do some arm and hand massage just while she was sitting in a chair, and then gave her next massage free, or obviously compensated her for the blunder. But I was like, don't tell me that story, because it's my fear. Thankfully, from in my car, I can see my table in the rearview mirror, and so I always check to see that I have it before I go anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scares me.
You just need to have 5 tables, just tables all over the place.
Yeah, I guess so. But sometimes you take it out to I don't know, deep clean it or fix something on it.
Or when I go grocery shopping.
Yeah, when you go grocery shopping, you need to take it out of your trunk. There's been times where you take it out. So yeah, you gotta be careful.
Right.
All right. So lastly, I had some communication blunders. Now, that was
the main reason why you wanted to do this episode.
Yeah, these are the things
Right.
Yeah. These are the things I thought of first to share. I've been hesitant to share them because I don't ever want to call out my clients. Do you know what I mean? I don't want them to feel embarrassed or called out. I like making fun of myself. I don't have any problem doing that.
Yeah.
But I don't want anyone else to feel uncomfortable or to feel like, oh wow, she's judging me or making fun of me or anything like that. So I don't ever want people to think that way. These things are all things that I haven't communicated well enough with my clients, so they were confused. So I'm not calling out their actions and blaming myself because I didn't do a good enough job of explaining things.
Right.
And I'm sure other therapists have had these experiences too. And so one of the biggest blunders is explaining to clients how to get on the table. A lot of therapists talk so fast when they say that, and I'm super guilty of that as well, because it's a script. It's a routine that we say all the time, and so you just rattle it off and then you leave. You have to remember the client is a little overwhelmed. They're in a new space. They're being given instructions. They're they probably just did an intake with you where maybe you were giving information about their painful area, the techniques you're going to use on that area. Maybe you did an assessment where you're getting them to do some movements, asking them a million questions, and then you rattle off these instructions how to get on the table, and then you jot out of there.
Right.
And they don't want to mess it up. They're embarrassed about oh, maybe I'm going to remove the wrong amount of clothing, and so they panic sometimes and they can't remember what you said.
Doesn't this only apply to new patients, clients, right?
Right. Unless
I know how to get on a massage table.
You would be surprised. I've had people who've had lots of massages before and they still mess it up, I guess.
Well, what are they messing up though?
Well, I'll tell you right now in the stories. Okay. It's usually when I see a new client, maybe a different therapist did something different with them, started them face up versus face down, or who knows, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, I remember at one clinic, and I was a brand new therapist. In fact, I was in between my first and second years of school. I was really new. And yeah, I come back into the room and the client is in their tidy whities on top of all of the sheets. It was an older guy. And I just remember, and I could tell he tried, some of the sheets were kind of moved over. Maybe he just couldn't reach them.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what to do. I was, like I said, brand new, and I was just wasn't sure what I should do, if I should leave the room. And and so he was a lot older, and I bet he couldn't reach the sheets, and so I just quickly tucked him back in. I was just oh, let me just fix the sheets here for you, and I just put the sheets over him.
Yeah, you just gotta play it off.
You just gotta play it off like it's not a big deal,
because
you don't want to make them feel embarrassed, and yeah. And so, yeah. Just, it was funny. Maybe it'd be different if they were like stark naked.
Right.
I don't think I would enter the room.
So I'm not supposed to be totally naked on top?
Like, I do that every time.
No wonder I've been blacklisted for that. Kidding. I'm kidding. I know how to get on the table.
So another one at that same clinic. So it must have been me because I haven't had these experiences very often since then. This was only at that clinic.
Right.
I must have not been good about explaining what to do. So at that same clinic, same thing. I enter the room and I'm like, where's my client? I look at the table, not there. Look to the corner. He's sitting in a chair in his tidy whities.
Oh my God.
Different client, not the same guy. This was a younger guy too.
The brother of the...
the brother, yeah. He's just sitting in a chair and I'm thinking, what does he think we're going to do now? You know what I mean? Like, oh, got to tuck you into the table. Or like, did he think we were going to do some assessments with him naked? Like,
what did you...
I don't know. It was really weird. And so I just had to say, oh, actually, I need you on the table. And so I did leave the room while he got on the table. And I think I had to communicate kind of through the door because I didn't want to see him like walking around the room in his underwear. Yeah. And so I was just like, oh, yeah, just go on the table now.
Did he apologize or?
Yeah, I could tell he was flustered and embarrassed. I played it off like it wasn't a big deal, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Just the moment when I walked in, I was like, "Where's my person?" oh, hello.
That's so embarrassing. I feel so bad for that person.
Yeah. I bet for sure he has his own podcast and he's like, well, one time this is what I did.
He's not doing well. He's probably talking to his therapist right now. Still trying to process that 10 years later.
Oh man. And another experience I had more recently was I did the massage and then I said to the client, okay, I'm going to go wash my hands. You can get up now, whatever, do my spiel, leave the room. And it was in a master bedroom. And so I wash my hands in the hallway, come back, and I'm waiting outside their bedroom for them to open the door, right? I'm like, oh, I'll meet you in the hall, whatever I said. Waiting. I'm like, where is this person? Like, what's going on? So finally I knock on the door and I'm like, are you okay? And they're like, yeah. I was like, okay. And then I was like, is it okay?
Like, there's no round two.
Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah.
We're done.
And so I said, is it okay if I come back in? And they're like, yeah. So I come back in and I'm expecting them to be dressed sitting on the edge of their bed or something, right? Or like, I don't know, on a phone call or no, they're literally still on the table, like naked, like under the sheets, just laying there.
Yeah.
And this was like an older-ish lady.
Why are they all old?
Are you really questioning this? And so
no, we can't offend old people.
Oh yeah, we already did that in.
I love old people.
And so
old people really are.
They really are the best.
Some of the sweetest people.
I know.
Yeah.
What do you think we'll be like when we're old?
Just so great.
We'll
still have this podcast.
Crazy. Yeah.
95 years old. One time. Yeah.
And so I had to say, so I tried to not make her feel embarrassed, and so I blamed it on me. Like, always do that. If your client does something embarrassing, you blame it on yourself.
9 times out of 10, it is your fault.
Exactly.
Right.
This was a client I hadn't seen before, and I probably rattled off. I probably just said to her, "Okay, I'm gonna go wash my hands now." That's probably all I said, and just laughed.
Yeah.
And so I said,
she's probably like, "Wait, do I get up? What do I do?"
Like, "Oh, you're just washing your hands, and you're gonna come back and do something else?" Yeah, she didn't know. Yeah. And so I totally blamed myself. I said, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I didn't explain myself very well. The massage is over. You can get dressed now." And then, left the room, whatever. So it was fine. Yeah. She actually left me a really nice review after that massage. Yeah. She's like, "Best massage ever," whatever.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was really funny. That happened another time, except for the client fell asleep.
Okay.
And I knew they had fallen asleep. I was massaging their feet, and I had seen that they had fallen asleep. They were snoring or whatever. But then I kind of, I don't know if I shook their shoulder, but I kind of like put my hand on their shoulder. I was like, "Okay, massage is done now. You can get up." Gave the whole spiel very thoroughly. Went to wash my hands, and same thing. They're not getting up. I was like, "What is going on?" I go back in, just snoring away, just blissfully sleeping. So I have this moment where I'm like,
"What do I do?
Do I now say, oh, like, I already washed my hands, like, you need to get up? Or do I just do the whole thing over again, right? Pretend like, okay, the massage is all done now. I'm going to go wash my hands. And so that's what I did. I didn't want him to feel bad.
So you did?
Yeah. So I just pretended like I hadn't already gone and washed my hands. So I just said, okay, the massage is done now. You can get up. And I'm like shaking his shoulder. You can get up now. And then I went to wash my hands again. I didn't want him to feel stupid, right? It's like, so there's no point.
So, but how confident are you that he didn't hear you the first time.
Right.
You're not like he might, because maybe he was like, wait, more like a deja vu experience.
Yeah. But even if he did, like, it wouldn't have really mattered.
Right.
Because I just said, like, okay, you can get up now. I think that's all I said. I was just like, okay, you can get up now.
Right. Right.
The same message would have applied whether, like, yeah.
What if you had to go in there a third time?
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
Okay, we're done.
Just like start folding up the table.
Just like tip the table.
Just tip the table
push
over.
Push them over the floor. Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
And then, yes, of course, there's the classic client undressing right in front of you in the room.
Yeah, some people don't care.
No, a lot of people don't care. Yeah. They're just like,
Isn't that a big European thing?
Oh, yeah.
Though?
I remember reading a story, where someone went for a massage in Europe.
Your sister was talking about it.
Was it my sister?
Yeah, your sister was talking about how she was somewhere in Europe and she got a massage, and then the therapist was like, okay, like giving her instructions, and then she didn't leave the room. Yeah. And it was like,
just get on the table.
Yeah, and so she had to undress in front of her.
Anyways,
yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah. Wasn't she just like doing her charting? I think she was just kind of like turned her back a little bit and was doing her charting.
Right.
Yeah, so I totally get why some people would maybe do that. So
right, and just some people just don't care.
I know.
Again, some of these older people are like, wow.
I know.
Like my mom, she's always like, "You seen a boob, you seen them all." It's like, Mom, but
just no, it's not good.
It's like I don't, It's
like I don't
after my mom had breast
don't call out your mom.
Yeah, I can. She doesn't listen to this podcast. Yeah, she would be fine. Again, she'd be fine with me telling the story. So she had breast cancer, and she had a double mastectomy. And so she had like
reconstructive
surgery. And I remember when I went and visited her at the hospital, you and I, we both went up there, and she was like, "You want to see my new boobs?" And it's like, Mom.
She asked me first, and I actually was very interested because it is very fascinating, the whole reconstructive surgery. And then she asks you, and it's like, you're like, no. I think in her defense, I think she was a little high on morphine. She was just fresh out of surgery.
No, I think even if she wasn't, she would have asked me. Again, because she's just like, you seen a boob, you seen them all.
Well, and they were kind of like, maybe in her mind they weren't like her real, they weren't real.
Yeah, but still, no.
Anyway,
I love my mom.
So yeah, when people start doing that in the massage room, I duck out of there because you still need to give people their space, and even if they don't care, I still care.
Yeah, I still care.
So I just say, okay, I'll like do this spiel really fast. I'm like, okay, I'll be back in a minute. Bye.
Gotta go wash my hands. Yeah, that's funny.
Good times. You seriously didn't think of a single embarrassing moment?
No, I couldn't think of anything. Could you think of anything?
No, actually.
You have a much better memory of my blunders than I do.
I document them and bring them up when I need to.
Yeah.
No,
I've got nothing.
But if people have stories they want to share, they're more than welcome to, because I love hearing them.
Yeah, please share. Please let us know.
Yeah.
And anything else you wanted to say, or that's all?
That's it for today.
Okay, see you guys later.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to stay in touch, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We've included the links to these in the show notes. Also, be sure to check out our website, onlinewellness.ca, if you need any continuing education credits. All of our courses have been approved by massage associations across Canada. Anyways, we'll catch you next time.